Balik tayo sa Kababayan Today. Kausap pa rin natin si Dr. Randy Palisoc, isang educator, at nag-share siya ng kanyang storya. Randy, tell us about why you decided to enter the profession of education. Because as we know, as a Filipino, there are not a lot of Filipino Americans in higher education. There are few. We featured them here on Kababayan Today, but you can count them on your hands.
Yes.
Right. Why do you think that's the case?
I'm not sure what that is, and actually teaching was a second career for me.
Really?
When I was at USC, I was a business major, so I got my degree in business with an emphasis in marketing and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So I worked in an office for a year, and at the same time, one of our college friends got her teaching credentials, so she went into teaching. I got a chance to visit her classroom a couple of times, and it just seemed to be something really enjoyable and a lot more interesting than what I was doing at the time.
Okay.
So I made the switch and went into education as a second career.
Okay, so you went to UCLA, you got your master's
Correct.
in education. How was that like?
It was a great experience. So I was a teacher for 7 years and decided to get my administrative credential. So I ended up at the education school at UCLA. And just like you mentioned, there are not too many Filipinos in higher education. So I felt like I had to be out there and represent being Filipino out there.
But that wasn't the end of it. You still went back to USC and you took your doctorate. I mean, that seems like a very long time to really be in school.
It is.
What are the challenges in pursuing this?
I think one of the big challenges is there aren't enough role models out there. So when I got my master's and my doctorate from UCLA and USC, I didn't really have someone to model after because, as you mentioned, there aren't a whole lot of Filipinos out there in the education world.
Right. So who helped you through this really difficult and trying time? Because I'm sure it's challenging. It's very isolating. You know, you're reading a lot, you're writing a lot. What would you do for fun?
One of the things that helped me get through the doctorate program was my wife and I actually did it together. So we did it at the exact same time. And
she's a educator as well?
She's educated as well. She started off in higher ed and then went to K-12.
I see.
Yes.
Okay,
so we kept each other accountable.
So when you have a partner, the ride is not as difficult or challenging, right? Because there's someone that you can bounce ideas off of.
It really is. You can keep on each other's case.
Oh, okay. So I know that you now have your own business. Talk to us about it. It's very exciting.
Sure, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I was a teacher for 7 years. And in 2004, right after I graduated from UCLA, my wife and I started a charter school together.
Right.
So it's Synergy Academies. It's in South LA. And the school did really well. It just won its 5th national award.
Wonderful.
And they were named the #1 urban elementary school in America in 2013.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what do you think attributed to winning these awards, and what's the secret to having a charter school that really does much better than all the other schools around?
There's a number of reasons. One thing is we really tried to live up to the name of our school, which was Synergy. So we said that if we all work together, teachers, administrators, parents, we can actually accomplish a lot more than we could by working alone.
Right.
So that's one of our secrets.
So you hold everybody in the community accountable for the child's education.
Correct. It was a team effort.
Okay.
And secondly, there's some very specific instructional strategies that we used as well. One of the reasons our kids are high performing is they really get math. So a lot of the things that we teach our kids, they don't get the textbook explanation a lot. So that was a big struggle at the schools. So one of the things that I needed to do was rewrite the curriculum in a way that actually made sense, not to another math expert, but made sense to a kid.
Okay.
So that helped our kids succeed in math and helped us win a number of national awards.
Okay.
And that's why I decided to actually leave the school not too long ago to further develop the curriculum and make it available to more schools and more parents around the country.
Okay, so math. This is something that, you know, oh, you're Asian, you're really good at math, you know? But that's not always the case. That's such a stereotype, isn't it?
That's correct.
So talk to us about the system that you've developed to help kids with math.
Okay, as I mentioned, one of the things that our kids do well with in math, and I think a reason for that is I treat it as a language and not as a scary subject. So people either think of themselves as a math person or not a math person.
Right.
When you really need to understand that math is actually a language, and language is a human thing, so anyone can do well in math.
Okay.
So as I'm going through the lessons, I treat it as a language, and that helps the kids understand the concepts a lot better.
I see.
And one example is fractions, for example. Fractions drives middle school kids crazy. And
It drives me crazy, Randy.
It drives their parents crazy and their teachers crazy as well because the kids don't get it.
Right.
So when I'm explaining fractions to a 5th or 6th grader, I tell them we're going to go back to kindergarten and we're going to start off with a really simple. I'll start off and say, what's 1 apple plus 1 apple?
2 apples.
Correct. And
Yeah.
a typical answer that a kid would give you is just 2. They wouldn't say 2 apples. So I insist that they say the apples part as well.
I see.
So when you ask a question like, what's 3 pencils plus 2 pencils? Pencils plus pencils give you pencils. How many pencils?
5.
5 pencils.
5 pencils.
So I actually tried this on my niece once. We were waiting for a movie, and we're just killing time before the show
Okay.
started. So I asked her, what's 3 apples plus 1 apple? She'd say 4 apples.
Okay.
Then I'd say, what's 3 billion plus 2 billion? And my aunt looks at me like, are you crazy? She's in kinder.
I get it.
She's not going to understand
I see.
what 3 billion plus 2 billion is. And
But because of the concept you introduced,
Correct.
you were able to teach her. Okay, when we come back, we're going to take a look at the books that Dr. Randy Palisoc has brought to show us here on Kababayan Today. Don't go away.